People always come to me or message me saying that they've set goals, but that they're experiencing self-doubt. They're not quite confident enough to put themselves out there and do the things that they know they should be doing in life. So if you've ever felt like you were meant to be doing more, but like you're not good enough, or that you don't have what it takes to take the next step forward, well, today I want to encourage you to grow outside of your comfort zone. Why is it important to grow outside of your comfort zone? So it's really the only way to achieve success and to fully develop yourself. And most people are missing the part of truly knowing or understanding themselves, because how can you be confident in yourself if you don't know you? And that's one of the reasons that I created my Woman Go Be workbook that's available on Amazon, so that you could get to know you. Now, one of the things that I do to develop myself is pray, because prayer helps give me clarity. Even before publishing my very first book back in 2018, I prayed before publishing that book and asked God for the vision. Now, during this time, I was still working a full-time job. And although I know that having a job is a blessing, I did not believe that that was the road for my life, because I kept saying, Lord, who thought of this? This is like Groundhog's Day, waking up doing the same thing every single day. There has to be another way. And I think that's innately because I always knew that I was an entrepreneur, because since my teenage years, I've always done stuff. When I was in college, I was doing MLM marketing. I had tried a lot of different things, but I had never found that one thing that was going to be the thing. You know what I'm saying? So prayer is what gave me the direction and the vision to publish a book. It's the foundation that I build on. I'd be like, Lord, what are you saying today? And then I sit still and I listen for him. How do you build confidence though? So if you are in a situation where you just are fearful, or you don't think that you can do it, and a lot of times what I find is we don't think we can do something because we compare ourselves to other people. So we'll see someone who looks like they're doing so good or looks like they're successful in an area, and you start subliminally hating that they're doing it. That's going to weaken your confidence anyway, because how you going to have the strength to come against something that you hate that somebody else is doing because you're mad that they look successful? But the thing is, you don't know what's behind that success. You don't know all the things that they have to go through to get to that measure of success. So you really shouldn't be comparing yourself or be jealous of them anyway. You have to stay in your lane and start building confidence for what you know God has given you, right? So how do you build that confidence? Building confidence is a process, right? So it's not something you just wake up and you're like, dang, I got it, right? So anytime you go through a different challenge, you might still face some things that you're fearful of. So it's a process. You're steadily growing and you're steadily building your confidence in certain areas. But the truth of the matter is, if you never do the thing that you're scared of doing, you're never going to have confidence in that area. Because the truth is, you have to go through it in order to defeat it. And if you don't push yourself to go through it, then you're going to be a slave to that fear. When I think back to when I published my first book, even though I knew God told me to publish a book, he gave me the exact name of the book and everything, I still had all those thoughts of, what if no one buys it? What if no one supports? What if I can't find anybody to help me? Because I didn't know not now author when God gave me that idea. Like when God gave me the vision to publish a book, I did not personally know an author. So therefore, I didn't know how I was going to publish it, because most of the time, if you're getting into something that you've never done before, you need a mentor. You need someone to kind of guide you or something. Listen, in 2018, when I was trying to publish a book that related to me, that had Black women on the cover, I couldn't find any coloring books that had any. So I didn't have anyone to necessarily go to during that time. So what I did was I used the wisdom that God gave me, which was go to YouTube and search. So I went to YouTube and I searched for like the people who were the best in the industry during that time, right? So I just searched and I watched their videos, saw if anybody was teaching anything about publishing. That's how I found out about Amazon. I didn't even know who to go through for publishing. If you're in one of those states where you want to become a publisher and you just don't know who to go through, then watch this video. But yeah, I didn't know who to go through for publishing. And so even though I had all those thoughts about what if my book is not good enough? What if it doesn't mount up to some of the traditional publishers? What if, right? If I had let all those thoughts stop me, then I never would have moved forward to publish the book because I just would have been stuck in fear. So moving forward is what's going to be the catapult to start building that confidence for you. So start setting goals for yourself and then break those goals down into smaller goals. What I used to do was I would write on, I had like this whiteboard. So I would write down everything on this to-do list, and then it would come up to be maybe like 9 to 12 things that I had on this to-do list. Whether it was you're gonna wash clothes today, you're gonna flat iron your hair today, take your dog for a walk, you're gonna go to the grocery store. I mean, just a list of stuff that I wanted to accomplish because I was feeling so good, ready to tackle the day as soon as I woke up in the morning. And then after I would write this great list of things that I was going to do, somehow, I don't know how, but I would look at the clock and then it would be 5 o'clock in the evening. So all day, I ain't do nothing but scrolled on my phone and looked at a few social media posts and ate some breakfast and some lunch. But meanwhile, that list is still sitting there. I ain't checked nothing off of it, sis. And you know why? Because the list was too big. I would get overwhelmed by thinking about everything I had to complete on the list, so I wouldn't do nothing on the list. So that's why it's important to break your goals down. And really, I want you to think about one thing right now that you know you want to accomplish, that you're fearful of, that you keep hearing thoughts about, that you can't do this because this is going to happen, or you can't do this because you don't have enough money, or you can't leave that job because you don't know how you're going to make money. Or maybe it's something to do with your relationship. You can't leave your relationship because you don't know how you're going to manage money, even though you know the relationship is abusive, you know the relationship is full of trauma. Or maybe you want to go ahead and start your business. So whatever the thing is where you are having a whole bunch of thoughts and resistance and not wanting to do those things because you're scared, write that one thing down, and I want you to focus on that one thing. Start breaking that one thing down and say, what is something that I can do today that moves me forward toward this one thing that I'm fearful of doing? And if you have my Woman Go Be workbook, you can write it inside of your workbook. I actually have a section for fear. So you'll write down that one thing, and then you will write down what you're going to do today to move you forward in doing that. So let's say you have a fear of starting a business. Then one thing that you might write down that you're going to do today is you're going to go ahead and go to your Secretary of State, and you're going to look to see if that name is taken. And if that name is not taken, you're going to register your business. Or maybe your one thing can be, you're going to go ahead and go to Namecheap, and you're going to go ahead and lock in your domain name. So whatever it is, write it down, and you're going to start breaking it down. Because you're not going to let this fear overtake you. You're going to overtake that fear, right? Because you have the power and authority over your thoughts and over your mind. Do you remember the story of David and Goliath? There were two armies, right? And you had one army on this side, one army on this side. This army was the Philistines, and this army was the Israelites. These two armies were going to battle each other. And so when the Israelites saw all the people on this army and how big those people were, and they had a representative of their army named Goliath. Goliath was a giant. He was very huge. Now, I've never personally seen a giant in my life, but the only thing that I can think of is like if you stand beside a bear and you just think about it, you'd be like, that is creepy, right? That is gigantic. You'll be thinking, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to win that, right? So think of that bear like your thoughts. So the two armies, so this army was fearful of this army because this army had Goliath here. So Goliath kept on challenging this army over here, the Israelites, and he kept on saying, listen, where your people at? Get your people together because we're going to fight. So they were scared. So they sat there for like 40 days and they wouldn't move. They would not fight Goliath because he was so huge and they were terrified of him. So the king of the Israelites didn't know what he was going to do to win because they knew that if they lost, then they were going to be a slave to these Philistines, and they didn't want to be a slave to them, and they didn't want to lose their lives. So David was a little shepherd boy. David was not a part of the army. David was told by his father to go bring his brothers who were in the army some food or whatever to just make sure they were good. So David went up there, and when he went up there, he saw Goliath, and he saw that his people were scared. So he was like, why is everybody so scared? Like, I'll fight the dude. So everybody was like, okay, little David, go on back now. Why are you even here? You're not a part of the army, such and such and such. So David had to get permission from the king to fight Goliath because David was not a part of the army. He was just a boy. He was not even old enough to be a part of the army. So at first the king was like, no, you're not going to be able to do it because you're not trained for battle. So no, you're not going to be able to do it. But David really persisted, and he even told the king, he was like, listen, I've been a shepherd taking care of my father's sheep, and a lion and a bear tried to steal the sheep, and I went and I got that sheep back from the lion and the bear. So he was trying to prove to the king, listen, I ain't scared. I can do it. So the king finally said, okay, go ahead. So David comes out here to Goliath, and when Goliath sees little old David and big old Goliath, he's looking at David like, you got to be kidding me. This who y'all gonna send? Like, you got to be kidding me. Is this a joke? Y'all trying to play me? So David was like, no. He was like, you come with your sword, you come with all this, but I come in the name of the Lord. So I ain't scared. So David don't even have a sword. He pulls out a sling and a stone. And so Goliath starts charging towards David. So now they're coming towards each other, right? David pulls out his sling and his stone, and he pulls it. And when he pulls it and lets it go, it hits Goliath in the forehead, knocks him to the ground. That giant fell. So if your thoughts are like giants to you, pull out your sling and hit that giant in the head, because those thoughts are nothing but your servant. You have power and authority over those thoughts, just like David had power and authority over Goliath. I believe in the God in you, but do you? Because it's your belief that's going to determine what you're able to do, how successful you're going to be in life, what you're able to accomplish, how much you're going to personally develop your own self and get past those fears and increase your confidence. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. And until next time, bye-bye.